Okay, can you hear me now? Check, 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 check. Peace, cuz. How you doing? Yeah, I just swapped out microphones. All right, so yes, you hear me now. Al Johnson Art, welcome. Peace and blessings. And as I was saying, I'm praying that you've had a really wonderful beginning of your year. In Kemetic culture, we recognize that there is another new year. We go along with the new year that starts at the beginning of the heliacal rise of the Sepdet star, uh, known as Sirius. And that usually happens somewhere around end of July, beginning of August, sometimes in September. But we're also wise enough to recognize that because there is this mass energy that takes place, massive energy that takes place when the Roman calendar's new year changes, it is only wisdom to acknowledge that as well. So we have already done our oracle reading for the year. I'll be reviewing it again today. But as if you've been following me, then you know that I've been going through the various traditions of this season of light. For us, what is the season of light? And breaking it down from its Kemetic origin, including the tree, okay, which had its origins in Kemet, and so many other aspects. And so today, I will be going into the Kemetic understanding of the three wise men, or the three kings, or they're also known as the three Magi. Now, if you look at the image, and we're going to start with prayer and so forth, but I just want to give you a chance to really focus on the visual. And by the way, please share that I'm on the air. If you're on YouTube, then please hit like and also share. So let's go back to this image. Let me take myself out. Great deal of mystery, but deeper understanding and common sense that goes along with that. Also, be aware of the fact that there were many more than three Magi, but we'll get into that. Let's open with our general prayers. Michael Stallworth, Charmaine, thank you so much for being here. In our Kemetic tradition, we open the way with Beset and Besu. This is one of my Besus, and in it I have a jar, and so I pour libation in it and I do prayers with it. Those of you who are familiar with the Ifa culture, with the Orisha culture, you know that who is known, was commonly known, that is Eshu or Elegba. But this is Besu, who is the protector of the door, Beset, also known as Besit, also Biza is the portal opener. And so we pour into this vessel. Let me read the prayer first. Actually, I'm going to pour first. Duawu, duawu, duawu. Duawu means thank you, but it also means I elevate you. And this also refers to the Dwa people, of which, or to whom, the guardians Beset and Bisu belong. Give thanks. Reverend Tamu, how are you? It's good to see you. Thank you for being here. Yunharech beset, Yunharek besu, ek yuni, yunim katni, Anuk beseti besu, Parakani enechenu, Parekani, Yun eni beset besu nefer I wadu nefer nebu, Wepwat beset im wepti, Beheni besu im besa, Behen besu, Hauni I het yuni, Sebek bet yuni, Duau, En, 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 Duau. Let's acknowledge our ancestors. Iaku Ishapsu. Giving thanks for another day, giving thanks for another chance to get it right. Duau. Getting reoriented as always. Okay, I shifted everything around in a different way this time. Imchirtu tegesnu duau. To the ancients, to the ancestors, we follow your footsteps. Many thanks to you. Erjanuku, ernuku. You give us light, we give you light. We pour libations, such nu kebu. Ishkanu, we remember you. Keru renu echenu, we speak your names. And now speak the names of your ancestors of light, those who who you knew contributed well to the community, to your family, and those who you consider your guides in the ancestral realm. You can call out by your last name, starting with the maternal line and then going to the paternal. Simmons, Blackman, Pridgeon, Exum, Whitley, Artis, Ortiz, Aldridge, Anderson, Lloyd, Yates, McLaughlin, Myers, Murray, Mosley, Salmon, Ely, Clyburn, Mayfield. Call the names. Call the names. Call the names. And as we call in divine protection of our spaces of light and of love, we are so glad to be in the presence of the divine and our ancestors who protect us, who nurture us, who guide us through whispering in our ears, and who give us signs, and who continue to help us. Duao, many thanks. Enk, enk, enk. This will go right back on my altar. Make sure you don't drink from your ancestral cup. That is for your ancestors. And because this is Sunday, we're going to do our prayer to Kinemu. This is his day. This is the equivalent of Oshanla or Oshala or Obatala. He is the original guardian who sits at the potter's wheel. Enk, enk, enk. Yunharek kenemu, ek yuni, yunim katni, anuk kenemu, kenum, ebunet sheru, kenemu ket heru nebu, ebni kenem nechem, ea, Ib en Ibu Mut em Mut you. Jeset Kerit. Jesus tu. Jesus Jeset. Jeset Kebu. Jesus in Maet. Jesus in Hedjet. Jesur en Jesit. Duau. Kenemu nebet per mechet. Kenemu kenti nechem anket. Kenemu kenti perank. Ebu kerit. Anuk paiten kerit em kerui ek. Keperen jesek eri em neferek. Meni kenemitek. Ebutori. Erdani kenemu kerep. Shaisha imak kefau kebu kenu keper nechem kai jed in reswini keni kenemu kredek kebit bet yuni nebu bareka I bak hetek netsher desher in 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 Kenemu, known as Kenum, who is the father of white cloth, who sits at the potter's wheel, who is creator of the soul, who is the bringer of joy, who is the ultimate protector, who turns his back on the wicked, and who brings wisdom and clarity and cleansing and sweetness to life. Give thanks. He is also the one who throws open the floodgates for the Happy, but also in bringing abundant blessings into your life. On this day, on Sunday, and also on Friday, we acknowledge you. Give thanks and praise. All right, let's get into the topic. How is the level? Is the music too loud? Turn it down just a little bit more, just be on the safe side. All right. It's good. Dua, Nafir. All right, the topic. Understanding of the fact that the term Jesus or Jesus, Yesu, Yeshua, existed long before the Christianized version of him got on the scene. Now, right away, I want to tell you this is not bashing any religion. This is not bashing any viewpoint. This is brought from an historical and cultural point of view, but then following up with the spiritual so that everybody understands how this relates to all of us. If we are willing to open and receive that. It's your choice. But again, this is not any kind of bashing. Okay. So many people know the story of the Magi and how the shepherds were visited by angelic beings, and also the story of the wise men, Magi, magicians, holy men, those who were attuned to energy. and those who were able to be at one with the divine forces. And some people would think, oh, someone who manipulates energy. Well, it really is talking about those who are in sync and are able to flow with energy, but also are able to help have the energy cooperate with you when it's needed, and to get in alignment with all of life, all of nature, and all of the various aspects, the energy patterns that go along with nature. In the Kametic language, there are several different terms for people who were considered holy magicians who were spiritual. The holy priesthood, Jaja. The Jaja were the high priests, the holy men. And Ja is the root of the word Wuja. Wuja, we know to be connected with the first eye, or the Wujat. This is the place where our psychic intuition is highly open here, and then also at the crown. So let's go back to the shepherds who were visited by the angels. And so people would ask, well, why shepherds? By this time, shepherds were not really held in high regard, and they were considered smelly, dirty, because they hung around with their cattle and sheep all the time, and were just thought of as being unkempt. However, in ancient Kemet, shepherds, for the most part, were still held in high regard because they controlled the wealth. If you had a lot of cattle, that meant that you had a lot of abundance. And if you hired someone as a shepherd to take care of your abundance, that'd be the same as having somebody who's at the bank that takes care of your money. So it was also understood that they were in alignment with the terrain, with nature. They had to be in order to take care of the sheep, the cattle, and they had to be keenly sensitive to their surroundings, to the needs of their cattle. They had to be the physicians to their cattle. If they got sick, they had to know how to heal them. They also had to know how to bring them to safe places, to bring them to places where there was a lot of food, a lot of green pastures. And I explained, I believe it was the last podcast, about how in the last service, how in the Lord's Prayer, no, the 23rd Psalm, it says, he brings me before to a table before my enemies. That is not talking about a physical table. The table was considered a plateau or a meadow with lots of lush grass for the cattle to feast on. Okay, so in truth, the shepherds were pretty special people. And they were also considered messengers. So because they traveled so much, if there was somebody who was wealthy who needed to pass a message on to somebody else, then they could trust the shepherd to be the carrier of messages. The word fei means to carry. And if you look in the word fei, you'll see Fai, that it has a man who is carrying a little person on his shoulder. Now, we have become familiar with the images of Jesus, who was considered the good shepherd and who is carrying sheep. And, he loved his sheep, and we're supposed to be the flock. Humans are supposed to be the flock, metaphor. But that imagery existed long before the shepherd, and the term good shepherd actually goes all the way back to Kemet, as I had explained. And this ties in with one of the guardians that we'll be talking about today, and also with how he ties into the Magi. Okay, so shepherds were considered very special in Kemet, and also they were considered messengers. And then also on another level, those who were really in tune with their environment were also prophets. Now, let's go back to the Magi. The holy men were considered prophets. The word ma'ah means to see. It is a seer, a prophet. And so because they were so much in tune with their environment and because they were in sync, that meant that they were highly psychic individuals. Yes. All right. So now listen, I was going to do a whole bunch of visuals and all this other stuff, but I've discovered it's so much easier for people to steal your content by just downloading your video and taking out the little snippet that you've created and then sticking it in theirs. So I'm not going to make it that easy for people to steal all of my research and my content. Okay. So the fact that we are at SHENU, a water Kametic temple, means that we focus on the water guardians, and a lot of them are pre-dynastic, and the stories that go along with them and the energy patterns that go along with them are profound and at times intense. But let's think about the fact that the body is said to be between 70 to 90% water. And what you do and what you think has a direct bearing on it. Why? Because of the energy that is in your body, and because of the fact that water can be greatly influenced. All right. As usually we open our service with speaking loving words into a glass of water and then drinking it. We know that by doing so, that the water, now having received this beautiful energy with loving words and loving energy, will go into the body and convert the water that is sustained within your own body. This is a wonderful way of being able to generate health and also to have a positive mind. Let's go further. We are a water temple, and that means that we honor the Enjusu or the Simbi. Those are the water guardians. Many people understand them to be water spirits. Now, the water spirits have taken quite a beating on the internet because there is a very limited understanding about exactly what that's about. There's as above, so below, and you'll find that there is a high quality of energy, and then there's a lower quality of energy, and that is true for all aspects of life. And you'll find simulations of patterns and repetition of patterns throughout nature. The Simbi are, in Haitian Vodun culture, considered to be the serpent messengers. Why serpent? Well, let's go back to the origin of the serpent in matriarchal culture. The serpent is considered wise. It is considered maternal. It is, believe it or not, even though they move a lot, they love being in one home environment. And they will go out of their way to protect their own and also themselves. There are various species of snakes and serpents, and each one has its own energy that it carries. However, the main message is to understand the general patterns that are consistent with all serpents. Serpents, snakes, shed their skin. That's a representation of growth. For us, we grow, and we actually shed skin on a daily basis if you do the right thing and clean every day. So, but also as you grow, your skin grows, you outgrow the old skin that you had when you were much younger. And day by day, we go through a shedding process. But also from a spiritual standpoint, we want to open up and receive higher spiritual concepts as well. Now, if you're really growing, then you'll find that some of the things that you believed last year no longer apply to you, or you have a different focus on them. Stay with me now. The serpent, the snake, you see the waviness of it? Now, I shared with you last time that this also reminds you of the veins that are in our bodies, the arteries, the nerves, and what do they all do? They carry. They're carriers. They carry blood, they carry energy, they carry water, they carry all these aspects that are vital to life and vital to health. And we know the caduceus staff is two serpents that are winding around a staff with wings at the top, which represents the desire for better health. Okay, so let's go back to when serpents became demonized, or the perception of serpents being demonized. Well, I can tell you that since there's as above, so below, and also because of the fact that there is duality and polarity in nature, in ancient Kemet, there were serpents that were considered valuable. Well, if you understand all of life, you know that they all are. But those that were considered positive, and those that were not positive, those who blocked life, who tried to bring dangerous elements to people's worlds, like the Apep serpent, who attacks the life force of Re on a daily basis. And the metaphor is the battle between good and evil, and each day Apep loses and Re wins out. This is also representing moral consciousness and how we approach life. If we give in to the good things, or if we give in to the things that are going to bring us woe. This is the equivalent of the idea of the angel on one shoulder and the so-called devil on the other shoulder. So we understand that we have our challenges on a regular basis, and how we approach life and how we see these challenges will help us with our growth. And even if we make the choice that is going to be the most difficult for us, there's still a lesson to be gleaned from it. And for that, we are grateful. Okay. The Simbi, representing the various aspects of the message. And the message is that the body receives, but also the messages that we project out into the world. For people who go into deep mysticism, they learn about these various energy patterns. And with that, they have a choice as to what they will do with their knowledge, because the serpent represents higher knowledge. How many of you have been in a situation where you've been in a room with other people and you were the smartest person in the room, and you had to decide how you're going to react? Now, we've also had situations where we were not the smartest person in the room, and the same thing, you have to decide how you're going to react. Now, you can be a jerk and let people feel like they're smaller than you simply because the fact that you recognize you may know more than them, whether it is just dealing with life, whether it is dealing with spirituality, whether it's dealing with culture, whether it's dealing with your job, no matter what it is, a certain topic, things that are going on TV. And how you deal with the people around you speaks to your character. If you're going to be some braggart, then you're not going to be appreciated. And what good is having that wisdom if you don't have temperance along with it? Because the Simbi also deal with communication. Yes. If you find that you feel like you're the dullest tack in the box, and you go out of your way to try to brag and prove what you think you know, then you can find out that you are going to put, you put yourself in a situation where you put your foot in your mouth, where people look down on you because of the fact that you're trying so hard. You may be out of your element. And the wisest thing to do may be to just keep your mouth shut and listen so you could learn something. In the book of Pebor, the original saying of the wisdom that comes from when in doubt, keeping your mouth shut. Because you can be thought a fool, but then if you can open your mouth and remove all doubt. That came from the ancient book of Pebor from Kemet. So Simbi comes back to Reki Ebi. I know myself. There was a term in Kemet for the ancient wise men of the East. And the term is Reketi Hu En Iabi. Excuse me, I don't have my glasses on. And so it says here, for those of you who have your Budge dictionary, and hopefully my students are watching and they've got their dictionaries handy. Page 430, column B, where it says Reket, sage, honored, a learned man. Rek means sage, or it means wise one, or it means wisdom in and of itself. Reket is wise woman. Reketi refers to Ast and Nebuchadnezzar, their energies together as the two wise ladies, and they are represented as two serpents. Wise men of the East. What's the significance of the East in Kemetic culture? Well, that's where the sun rises in the east, sets in the west. It is a symbol of Kepara, the scarab of transformation. It is the rising sun. And as long as you're able to open your eyes and have another chance at getting it right, then the day is a good day. The fact that you are above ground makes it a good day. So the East is the place of new beginnings. It is the place of recalling what happens the day before and gleaning the best of it and taking the wisdom and good experiences and even the bad into the next day so that you will know how to act accordingly. The East represents optimism. The East, it is the beauty of renewal. Yes. So wise men coming from the East. A wise person is one who recognizes that they don't know everything, and they're willing to go the distance in order to retrieve knowledge that is beneficial, not only for themselves, but also for their families and their communities. If you are in the position of being a sage for your community, if you are a healer, if you are a teacher, a scholar, if you are truly a sage, another word for wisdom is sia. If you are a seba, teacher, or sebait, sebait also means seba, and sebait also means student. So if you are a teacher, then you must also be willing to be the student, but also recognize that you can have students who are able to teach you something. The seba is also the star. I started out by talking about how in Kemetic culture, our new year begins with the rise of the heliacal rise of Sepdet, also known as Setet, the sacred star on the constellation of Orion or Asar. Seba is also the star. We say dua, which means thank you, or I lift you up, or someone who has the gift of levitation. But you have dua, the star, and you have the duat, which is the portal that the star travels through. The star is an extremely sacred symbol, and it means higher knowledge. So let's go back to the story with the three wise men. And I just want to tell you that in only one of the biblical chapters, it actually says three wise men. What is kind of hinted at in the other chapters is that there were more than that. But three is significant because three is the number for initiation, sacred beginnings, openings. All right. And I should also say that there are stories in the folklore, in Kemetic folklore, about wise people who came from the stars and who are there to herald a new age. And so all of this existed before the biblical stories of the wise men and the coming or birth of the Christ child. All right, so you have wise people. Going back to the word jaja. the Jaja, who are the holy people. The root word is Ja, which is in Wuja. Uh, Wuja, the first I, is also connected to Wajet. Wajet is the serpent of renewal. The root word Waj, which is a variation of Wuja. Waj means green. Let's take a look at Wajet. And sorry, let me just pull, here it is. And there is a counterpart to Wajet that is Wajur. And let me see, I created an image of him. Let me see, I didn't intend to bring him up, but let me see if I can just pull him up real quick. Wajur, who is not really spoken of much, but okay, I don't have him right here. I have a whole, listen, I created about 100 images. And so he is the great green ocean, or the great green, some say the Mediterranean, but it expanded to refer to the beautiful green water. Here we go. He is the equivalent of, before I get into that, let me just show you. Agwe in Haitian culture is the ruler of the sea. So you have Wajur or Wadur, which is like the word water, water, and you have Wajet. So Wajet being depicted as the serpent woman who is healing, and uh, she has the papyrus stalk that is her um, her scepter. I'm gonna pull this up real quick. So the Waj scepter. Here it is. Waj amulet. And this is supposed to represent a bundle of herbs. Bring this in. because Wajet also represents healing. Just like the snake or the serpent image is supposed to represent healing, it's the same with Wajet. I did an article years ago called the Kametic origins of the word witch. Witch is a word that's been vilified, but it's connected to Wajet. And also the Ujat is connected to the in Orisha culture, the birds. Oh my goodness. Usually it's like this. So if those of you remember the name of the birds of Oshun. But anyway, this is all about healing. And let's remember that the original temples in Kemet were hospitals. There's one other thing that you should know regarding Wajet, and that is that her temple was considered to be the oldest one that was found in Kemet. And there it was known for the prophets who were there and the healers. Now let's bring this to another word, because we're talking about plants. Brother Deshaun, how are you? Peace and blessings. Give thanks. In Haitian culture, there is a celebration that takes place this time of year that honors Simbi Makaya. Now, all of the Simbis are generally recognized, but this time of year in particular, Makaya. Makaya means leaves. There's a Kametic word for plants. Now, this is in the Budge Dictionary as well, all right? And I'm going to tell you that there's a mistake in this. The word says Meki. But if you read the Medu-Neter, this is why it's important to be able to read each of the glyphs, okay? Each of the sacred symbols. You will realize that the word is actually Mekayu, 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 which sounds like Makaya. And so it is spelled M-E-K, reading my notes here, A-E-U. Mekayu. Mekayu. So, Makaya means plants. And then, I'm sorry, I have that wrong. Makaya means leaves. Mekayu means plants. There are so many similarities in language, and there are a lot of words in Haitian Creole that actually came out of the Bantu region, and out of the the place of origin for Benin, before Vodun was Benin, but then also you see various other aspects from the other parts of the motherland. And we know that Kemet is the culmination of the best of African civilization. So you're going to have a lot of similarities in language, and so it's not surprising. So what's the big deal about Makaya and plants and leaves? Well, during this time of year, as the Simbi are acknowledged and Makaya is acknowledged, and you should also know, by the way, that there is a Haitian general named Makaya, who you should look up. He was originally from the motherland, brought to Haiti, and he was one of the freedom fighters. So I don't think it's too big of a coincidence that even though they're spelled differently, Makaya with the leaves is spelled with a K, and General Makaya is spelled with a C. Still, and also Haitian liberation is celebrated on January 1st. I think it's no accident. Also, during this time of year, all through this season, we've talked about it being Het Heru season, season of light. We've also talked about Nit and her giving birth to Sebek, and that being the day after what is known as Christmas. That's December 26th, but also on December 25th, that is the day that is the acknowledgement of the birth of Heru, the child born from the death chamber. And that is what the Qerest Mas means, or Qerest Mes. Yeah, the child born from the birth chamber. So also on that same day, on December 25th, in Kemet, that was known to be the day of the procession of Wajet. So there was a celebration in the streets with carrying the statues or icons of Wajet. Wajet, healing. This time of year, focusing on not only celebration, but what do we do when the new year is coming? Most of us are cleaning our houses, and we're making sure that we're not bringing the old energy from the previous year into the new year. Well, the same thing is done during Makaya. Makaya starts somewhere around the end of November and carries itself all the way up to the Epiphany. Some say January 5th, others say January 6th, the actual day of the Epiphany. During that whole period of time, people are cleansing. I had to go out and buy some more bleach because the bleach I had was not doing this job. And, here's the other thing. What is the whole thing with the leaves? Well, that is when we take spiritual baths, and we have cleansing plants, herbs, that we boil, and we use the water in our baths for, so that we can eradicate all the negative energy, any bad juju that might be thrown at you, any bad feelings that you may have toward yourself that are generating negative patterns, just getting rid of that, and then also welcoming the new. It is done with leaves and with herbs, understanding that they have healing elements, not just when you ingest them, but also externally. Well, look at what we do when we are using sage to cleanse our houses, and sweetgrass. The sage pulls out the negative energy, the sweetgrass pulls in the positive energy. If you eradicate, then you must also create something to pull in that will replace it. Otherwise, the same thing is going to come back, because nature hates a vacuum. So eradicate the negative, pull in the positive. Incense, rosin is made from generally what? Plants. Yes. So it's common then to cleanse your home, get some specific incense types, and the ones that are really strong. For instance, thinking of, sage, for instance, that's strong. Also, what's called dragon's blood. And dragon's blood is really vital for this year, because of the fact that this is the year of the Simbi. Oh, yes. So do your research. It's also important to wash your hair with the same water from the healing herbs that you've boiled down. Now, you can do what I did. I have one of those tea thingies, for lack of a better term, that you put your tea leaves in, and toss it into the pot with water, and it extrapolates all of the essences of the herbs. Okay. Now, after that, you let it sit, you let it cool, and you can pour off some of it to use for cleansing your head, doing your own head rogation, and then you put the rest of it in your tub water. Now, this doesn't mean you have to have a whole lot. Doesn't mean you have to have all these gigantic cauldron pots on your stove. You can have an average size pot and have potency from the kinds of leaves that you use. Now, listen, even if you don't go out and buy something specific, you can still use the sage that's in your cabinet. All right. Now, this one happens to be ground, but if if worse comes to worse, if this is all you have, then you can just take a napkin, all right, pour a bunch of it into the napkin, tie it up. You can use the wire that comes from bread, or and or you can even, if you don't mind, put it in your coffee pot, put it in a filter, and just make yourself like you're making some coffee, and do it that way. Let it cool, and then you can add it. Now, this does not mean you have to fill up your tub with all of these herbs, just so you have the essence. And remember, water is memory, and it is going to pull in the essence of the energy that you are putting into it. So it's going to expand. Take the time to soak, to pray, to meditate. Please don't make sure you have some garbage on while you are doing this very sacred act. Put on something that's going to really elevate you, that's going to lift up your energy, that's going to make you feel not just good, because there are certain kinds of music that can make you feel good, but you maybe should not have on while you're trying to focus on pulling in new energy and shifting things up. But put on some good meditation music, something that's going to just really help to center you, calm you, and to get you to focus. Now, as you're in the tub, you're going to meditate on what happened in the previous year, what was great, what was not so great, the lessons that you learned, and then you're going to release it. After you finish your bath, then just make sure that you just wash everything. And after you're finished, then you're going to focus on releasing all the negativity and letting it go down the drain. Then you're going to shower. And for those of you who don't have a tub, then you can just do the best that you can. All right. Put the water into a jug and, douse yourself with it. Okay. So, when you get out of the tub, it's important to anoint yourself with healing oil that is going to pull in the positive energy and also be protective. There's so many out there. Of course, the basic, frankincense and myrrh. And let's go back to the wise men, or the wise people, or the Reketi, okay? In the story, the Magi's were bringing frankincense and myrrh, and they were also messengers. So their coming was a way of alerting the quote-unquote Holy Family. Yes, we're here to bless the child, but you need to watch your back, okay? So they brought in the typical essences that would eradicate and then also protect. Okay? So these are just the basics, and most everybody has frankincense and myrrh. If not, then it's a good thing for you to continue to, it's a good thing for you to get, so that way you can keep it on your person. I generally wear a little, I guess you would call it an amulet that has oil in it. It's a special blend of oils that I really only share with my students, but it is to do the job of eradicating and then protecting you. And there's a certain pattern that we have in how we anoint ourselves. So, and that's on a daily basis. But using a sacred oil to anoint yourself after you get out of the tub. And please put on clean clothes. If you can, put on white clothes. If not, then just put on what you have that's available that is clean for you to sleep in. And if you can, make sure that your bedding is clean as well. Okay. So let's talk about the oracle reading for the year. And let me just also say that I have a picture. Let me just show you this. I didn't download this in my phone. No, it should be in my. Oh yes, it should be uploaded in my Google account by now. I made my own version of the Reiki of the wise people. Let me see if I can find this quickly. No, I don't see it. All right, I have to download this into my, the whole process, right? Okay, find it my phone first. And I posted it on Instagram. Here we go. There. All right, send that to my Google. And I want to show you one other thing that I got, because this time of year it's customary to make some kind of an offering. We call offerings and sacrifices ebu. We don't do animal sacrificing. We will do water. We will do sacred meals. But the biggest thing that you can do is either buy a gift for the guardians and something that is in alignment with their energies, or something just to show general appreciation. But the main thing is to do an act of kindness or several acts of kindness. This time of year, especially, we have neighbors with no addresses who are in need. There are shelters that accept clothing, food donations. There are plenty of churches and other public places that are asking for donations. And this should not just be this time of year. People feel some kind of way, feel a little guilty because they're splurging on themselves, splurging on their families. And so they figure that they'll do some little token donation in order to get rid of their own guilt because they live well. Well, one, I can tell you, do not feel guilty if you are living well. Be very glad that you are living out the legacy that your ancestors wanted for you, because your ancestors want you to do better. However, you should be ever mindful and grateful because of your abundant blessings, and be in a state of giving and sharing all of the time, not just one time of year. So in SHENU, our ebui, if you will, our acts of sacrifice go along with helping those who are in need. Now, sometimes it could be that you need to spend time with someone who maybe needs to have a loving, gentle, listening ear. Be mindful of your, see, this is where it's important to be aware of your surroundings, because if you're not, then you live in a state of selfishness and you may miss the mark. I'll tell you something. I had a situation where I purchased a coat from Amazon, and the sizing was just off. And so instead of sending it back, I said, you know what, let me just stick this in the closet, and maybe I can donate it somewhere. And don't you know, I ran into somebody who has really been going through it, and she lives alone and she's been struggling. And it was a cold, cold day. And so the first thing she said to me was, Queen Mother, I need help. I need a coat. And she said, you see how cold it is out here, and this windbreaker is all I have. I said, come on, we're going to my house. The coat was just her size. It was perfect, nice and warm. And only because the fact that I listened to my intuition about holding on to it instead of walking it down to the local church that takes clothing donations. I was then able to help my sister out because I listened, instead of rushing, let me just get rid of this, or, the whole thing again about not sending it back. So it's important to be in tune. So let me just show this image that I created. Well, I took this picture yesterday of the images of the Simbi for Makaya. No, not just for Makaya, but for Haitian Vodun. Was everybody able to hear everything I said? No? Okay. It's highly unreliable system. So as I was explaining, the on the far right, Simbi Makaya was represented by holding the leaves, and he in the Kemetic tradition is Kebra or Kebre. Kebre is the serpent who brings coolness. Keb is also a variation of the word Geb, which means the sacred earth, which means the earth. Okay, so he brings abundance, he brings protection, he brings cleansing to your life. All right. Now think about with leaves also how a lot of times people would take a bunch of leaves or branches rather and sweep with it. You do the same thing while walking around the house with a bundle of herbs where you can walk around and clean the energy with it and then make an offering to the earth by giving them back to the earth, in a sacred space. Maybe you would bury the leaves after it's absorbed all of the energy. So that first one was Makaya. The next one was Simbi Andizo, who in the Kemetic tradition is Simbi, who is Anjeti or Anzetu, the Good Shepherd. So the Good Shepherd is Zayu Nefer. Zayu is the symbol of Za is protective amulet, but it is protection, or it is the collier, the collar that you wear of beads in many traditions that are protective. And so in his name, in the name or the word Zayu Nefer, which was applied not only to him originally, but then later to Asar or Wasir, who the Greeks called Osiris, and then later to Amun-Re, the Good Shepherd. And there are a lot of writings that were left behind where he is referenced, Amun-Re is referenced as the Good Shepherd. But the symbol that goes along with it is a crook, the shepherd's crook, or the hek, as we call it, with the Zayu symbol, or the Za symbol, the protective amulet symbol. So he is the ultimate in protection, just like the shepherds protect their sheep. This year is the year of Anjeti, and also the Jabiru bird Bait. We'll get to that. So this is a year of watching out for your enemies. I mean, to a high degree, being on alert, not paranoid, but being very alert, because the fact that this year can go either way, where you can go like way south, or you can end up with a lot of blessings. And what you don't want is to have people who are really anxious to jack up what's going well for you. You also have to be very protective of your family and loved ones. Be on high alert, just like a shepherd looking out for his sheep. And that flail, the nekek, is there to beat off offenders. All right. So don't play with it. Just make sure that you are on alert. This is also the year, if you are in alignment, where you will listen. Even it's going to be a good year. There are, we did receive. I did receive one of the oracle messages from Bait and also from Njeti, was that there's going to be some global government stuff going down that's not going to be cool. However, we always seek the remedy. The remedy is staying focused and guarding the soul. This will be a year of temptation. And for those who are not paying close attention, you can find yourself going way down a road that will be hard for you, where it will be hard for you to get back on the right road. You don't want that. This is the care and feeding and guarding of the soul year. All right. Bait is the bird, the Jabiru bird, who represents the soul. The Jabiru bird is known for having the male and female both build and guard the nest and sit on the eggs. And then they are a unit. It's not like with some animals where they'll just bop around from one to another to another. They remain a strong family unit, much like geese, where geese are mated forever and until the partner dies. And, there's a lot of mourning that happens because of the fact that they were so closely adjoined. So this is the year of family. If you have had problems with your family, then do your best to heal it. Even if you're not speaking, then you can pray at the very, very least. Pray for healing. Pray for your family to be, and yourself to be able to ascend, because the Jabiru bird also represents flying high. And so with that is limitless potential to become what you wanted to be. Maybe you had opportunities that went by you, but now this is the year where you need to grab it and turn that into your power and your abundance, so that if anything goes down, you will be taken care of. And you will also have your close community of those you've been praying for, those who truly have your back, those who are not trying to pull you down, who do not wish ill of you, those who want to grow along with you, where you're all growing together. You have that community, then you're good, you're solid. This is building on the oracle from last year, where it talked about looking for community in places that you would not expect, because then people will be able to respond to particular needs that you may have. And so this is the year for it to go even further, deepening those relationships and making sure that your SHENU, your protective circle, is tight. And how to really do that? I start each day praying like this. Okay, the first prayer is to Wajet, and through the Ujat. My thumb's placed right here at my first eye. I'm blessed because I have the marking here. I'm blessed. I have a lot of sacred markings. I've got the marking of a birthmark, which is a symbol of Obatala. He was also purity and a bunch of other things. So anyway, my thumbs go right here and my hands come here. And my very first prayer is to Wajet, in order to align myself with my higher consciousness, my higher self. And from there, the higher self connects you to the grand source. My prayer is Nukpu Nukku Amiku Kemam Keperum Nechurchau. I am that I am, a shining being. Oh, it's in the book. It's in my. You start out your day in the typical way that it says here in my book. You'll find on page That's so much good information here. Okay. With the chapter that starts Duait morning prayers. Nukpu nukku amiku kemam keperum nechurchau. I am that I am, a shining being who dwells in light, who came into existence from the limbs of the Creator. Nukwe em enu enku amuku, anku jaseneb. I am one of those shining beings who dwell in light, life, health, strength. From there, my hands move from here to here. And I do the Kametic version of the Lord's Prayer to the Mother, Father, Necheru. And then I meditate. I repeat the same thing when I get in the shower. Prayer here, and then I do my third prayer, and that is to Neheb Kau, who is the equivalent of Dambala. So, and he's Kametic. Yes. Very wise, very loving, very powerful, and very strong. But I also include the rest of the Necheru, my Paut Necheru, my crew, my spiritual crew. Okay? So, regarding the oracle again for this year, it's smart to do as our ancestors did and to observe nature and to observe the patterns of those who come up in oracle. Do more study about shepherds and how they were highly regarded. Also, about the Jabiru bird, and that is spelled Jabiru, the Jabiru bird. And let that be your positive guide for this year. It would also be a good thing to have some type of protection. Za, okay. This is my Ankh with the serpent that wraps around it. Life. Yeah. I also want to let you know that things really line up across the board in so many ways for the different readings that have come out of the different communities. But I also want to say that here's where I'm going. In Kemetic culture, the veneration and appreciation of the serpentine energy begins in what we know as Thanksgiving. It is our Heru Hau Duau, our family gratitude day. And so at that point, we have our harvest altar up, our harvest kaut, and all the symbols that go along with that. And the guardian for that is Renenet or Renenutet. She is the cobra, the harvest cobra. So you'll see blessings start to come in at that point. Then, as we come into this sacred season, it rolls into Heru season, and one of her symbols is the serpent. And then also we have, as I mentioned, the day of the procession of Wajet on December 25th. And from the calendar standpoint, from the Kametic calendar standpoint, we continue with the wise serpent energy up until the 14th. We don't stop at the 5th or the 6th, which is the day of the Epiphany. It goes all the way to the 14th. So if you're really panicking because you're saying, "Oh no, I didn't get my house finished, I didn't clean everything," you've got time. 14th. Okay. So I believe that's everything. Before we do our Huit Qerest, does anybody have any questions? Let me also show you one of my offerings that I created for the season. I'll show you two pictures. This one here, yes. And the painted version. I made this at Newark Public Library, and they have a 3D printer. So you can get all kinds of wonderful Kametic items made because they have a catalog. And so I found this. There we go. Upload that. This is known as Behudet. It is the winged disc. And this is also associated with the Uraeus. It's still uploading. So the winged disc is something that a lot of people are familiar with. You usually see them over doors. And if you go to a cemetery, you'll know who's a Mason because generally they have them on their mausoleums. It's for protection. The Bechudet symbol, which has two serpents, or the recti, the two wise serpents, represents the energy of a person who all of a sudden gets this Herculean strength from out of nowhere. Just label this Bechudet. Thank you for your patience. Oh, from New Zealand, blessings, blessings. Thank you so much for being here. Jenny, thank you. Please share. Please share this. Here. Bechudet. Yes. So those go over doors and they protect you. The Herculean strength that I was talking about is, here's the example that I always give. It's like when you have a mother who sees her baby crawl under a car and then she just gets this behemoth strength out of nowhere to just lift that car up and snatch your child out from underneath. That's Bechudet. Bechudet is associated with Heru Bechudet, who is the little known brother of Asar, Setesh, Nebuhet, Oset. He was the fifth child. This is not Heru, the nephew or the son. This is Heru, the brother. It represents overcoming all obstacles. So it was originally yellow. And yeah, did you just hear my explanation, Sister Renee, about what the symbol stands for? Many Kametic places will have their version of Bechudet. We upload the image of the winged disc. And there are so many variations on this. Let's see if I find a good one here. Many Rosicrucians are familiar with it. Many people in Masonic lodges, Masonic culture. It's a pretty good one. This is not over a door. Let me just find one that's over a door. And again, if you walk around older cemeteries, you will see plenty of these. Here's one. This one is from Laurel Hill Cemetery. So that is my Ebu, or tribute offering to the Simbi energy. Listen, because we're a water temple, a lot of people really are just focused on, oh, how can I get power so I can do this, that, and the other. Once you become in alignment, then you will find that your protectors will handle things for you. People will obsess about accruing all of this magical and mystical knowledge so that they can feel less bullied in the world and so they can be on attack and feel like some kind of a superhero. That's a mistake. When you accrue this knowledge, you must have wisdom in order to be able to use it and also to share it. I've learned over the years I have to be extremely careful about who I share what with, because it's like putting truly a gun in a baby's hands. When you are in alignment, then your entire crew, but especially those who are in your life path chart and also who are walking with you most strongly, because you can have those who are in your chart, but then you have some who might step up and say, I got you this year. Okay. Just like we have the guardians, with Anjeti and Bait, that say, I got you this year and I'm taking you through, and this is what you need to watch out for. So when you are in alignment, then stuff gets handled. That doesn't mean you get lazy about things, because you have to do your work too. You don't just sit back and let people do things to you and not be responsible in terms of understanding, if these are people you don't need to be around, then these are people you don't need to be around. If you keep subjecting yourself to those who are hurting you and just in this very strong place of guile, just believing, let me give them a chance, or well, it's all right, it's in God's hands, but you're still getting beat upside the head every time you cross the street by this person, then that's you. That's your folly. And, I talked about Kenemu in the very beginning. There's a passage in the book of Amenem Apet where it talks about how even though Kenemu created you, he'll turn his back on you in a heartbeat if you are not in alignment with divine law, or at least trying your best to live that way. If you were just some corrupt being or someone who just continues to live in foolishness and you know better, that's the difference, you know better, then at some point it's just like, all right, I'm backing off. Kenuma's classic for that, especially. It's classic for it. Okay. Oh, I wanted to also share. You see, I have my head covered. I'm going back to doing that in our prayers because this is a Qerit. It's in my book also. And the importance of having your head covered, having a prayer shawl, the Qerit. This is in association with René Nutet as well. She is known for fine clothes and being a lover of clothing. And because serpents shed their skin, she is associated with layers and layering up. Sometimes you need to take it off. Other times, so it's the same thing with the prayer shawl. Now with this, you after you get out of your spiritual bath, cover your head. All right. With this, my hair is hanging down. With this, if you need to be praying in public, just like many of our people of other traditions do, then something as light as this, you can pull out of your pocket, pull out of your purse, and having it on indicates, listen, don't talk to me right now, I'm in prayer. Covering your head shows respect to your crown, your Qerit, and is also an indicator of being a person who is in sacred service, but also in sacred prayer. Don't bother me. Respect my space. It's like creating your own tent for yourself. Okay? For sisters who are out and about and who are who have titles, who have spiritual work, and who are conscious, so to speak, it's common for us to have at least a lapa, a wrapped up piece of fabric that we can wrap around ourselves if we're wearing pants, if our skirt is a little too short, and you go to meet someone, maybe they're an elder, maybe you, for instance, we had, unfortunately, a killing. We've had 3 killings this week in Newark, Well, actually, I know we've had a lot more, but we've had some that were very tragic. An imam was recently murdered. And it used to be a hands-off thing. As Councilman Kelly, our councilman, was sharing, it used to be a hands-off thing. It was the code. The code was you didn't kill children, women, and religious figures, spiritual people. You didn't kill your spiritual leaders. And people now just don't care. But I found that I was not able to run over and be supportive with the community because when I left the house, I didn't have my cherit, or lapa. And it's appropriate to cover your head and also your, having a long skirt in those communities. And so it's important to be respectful. But also, there are times when you realize, okay, you know what, I need to change up because I need for people to understand that this is my station in life. And it's important to dress according to your station. Now, if you're at the gym, then, you're going to wear gym clothes. But still, I'll notice that there are people who are holy people who will have a modified way of dressing as opposed to having everything all hanging out. Be mindful of who you are. Be mindful of what you're projecting out to the world. Be mindful of reminding yourself that if you're carrying a title, it's for a reason. And this doesn't mean that you have to become ultra conservative. No. But it does mean that you should be mindful. That's all. Okay. All right. If we don't have any questions, then we're going to go to our Huit Qerest. For those of you who know, you can grab a red beverage if you have it. If not, then you can just grab water and a small piece of bread. Generally, when you prepare it for our service, and again, first Sunday of the month. We used to do it every week, but now we're just doing it. We're keeping it limited to the first Sunday of every new month. You put it on a plate, hopefully a white plate, and you cover it with a white napkin. How's everybody? Let me say one more thing regarding the three kings. There are families who have a prominent display of the three kings, who know the hidden meaning. And in Haitian families, especially, the same thing. Sean Curry, how are you? Peace and blessings. Happy New Year to you too. In Puerto Rican families, the three kings, big deal. Now listen, understand the three kings, that's like their version of Santa Claus. So the three kings will come, either they'll be on camels or they'll come walking in for the three kings ceremony that I was at the other day, which was absolutely wonderful here in the city of Newark. That was sponsored by Councilman Luis Quintana. They had a float outside, and they used to have a parade. And 1 year, when COVID hit, they actually had it in the parking lot of the Basilica, so people were able to ride by and get their gifts from the three kings. But they were on a float originally with folkloric music playing. Beautiful. So children received gifts, and all these dignitaries came, and it was like a big family reunion. It was beautiful. So, but that's the thing, because the Simbis bring you gifts of abundance, and they are also bringing gifts in their divine messages if you are in alignment and you listen. And I'm going to tell you, we always say at the time for Hebwegu, see that, and that begins when our Kametic New Year begins, and it ends November 2nd, around the same time that All Souls Day. Okay, it's All Saints Day, All Souls Day, But that's when the veil is thin to deal with your ancestors and getting messages from your high ancestors who are giving you guidance for the new year. This time of year, This is the time to receive the messages from Simbi. Your body is also going to probably be craving to cleanse itself. Now, we've shared before about how I've gone back to eating meat sometimes because of my health, dealing with the epilepsy and so forth. Oh, yes. Simbis also deal with high electrical currents. And because they're also associated with the water, even though they're land creatures too, and they're also associated with fire because it's life force energy, the wiggly lines that you see that are associated with water actually are not just water, they are electrical currents. All right, catching that vibe, you see. So this is the time to receive even greater messages. You'll find synchronicity. You may be on a phone call and have your TV on, and you'll find yourself saying the exact same words that are being said on TV, like that. So you have a lot of synchronicity going on, and that means that you are in tune and that you are really working that muscle and opening yourself up to the divine influences. But you must also make sure that you protect this as well, so that you aren't being susceptible to negative programming from other people. Okay, this is why it's important to keep your vibration up high, so that that's an automatic shield to negative forces. Can music bass bother you also? You mean like the bass line? It depends. I mean, the bass can do one of two things. As a musician, I can tell you this. The bass will either pull you down into a really deep, low vibratory, sensual energy and materialistic energy. It is, the bass is like, that's earth. That's just, it's boom, boom. But it's also what drives you. The bass line is what keeps people moving and in trance. Even as a drummer, boom, 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 right? But it can pull you in trance in a positive way, or it can elevate you. Remember I said before with the tub, when you're in the tub, listen to music that is not going to like pull you down. I know if I'm doing spiritual cleansing and spiritual bath, I can't put Mark Anthony on, okay? I can't put on a lot of my sultry R&B either. I can't, because I'm not trying to be in that vibe, all right? And also, I've been celibate the last now going on 4 years. And so my focus is on cultivating the energy to a higher level, okay? Well, I can put on Vivir mi vida. I love, Mark Anthony's Vivir mi vida. Live my life. That's motivational. Put on some motivational stuff. See, that's cool. But the whole thing with the bass, though, it is a deep earth energy. So if you are truly deeply rooted and grounded in who you are, knowing yourself and knowing where you are energetically, then it can be a good thing. If you are like on the fence, or you're struggling and you're trying to reach into higher consciousness, you're trying to get away from being too earthbound, too materialistic, too money driven, too focused on making relationships based on only connections of what people can do for you, where you're not really caring about the person's heart. All you're caring about is their service they can provide for you, so to speak. Then I would play things that have higher notes, okay, and that will just truly lift you up. That was a great question. That was an excellent question. I'm putting together beats in my new music, and I'm very selective about them. I have strong driving bass line in them, but I also mix it up. There are times where I'll add this here with these high notes, these bells right here with, the cowbells, or, put the congas here with this run, So, yeah, music is extremely healing. But if you're not careful, it can take you in other directions. Okay, so... All right. SHENU Kametic Huit Qerest, our Eucharist ritual or ceremony. The sacred supper of Huit Qerest, known today as Eucharist, was created in ancient Kemet. The priests and priestesses of Osset honored the resurrection of King Asar and the resurrection of life. We all face personal levels of resurrection daily. As we learn the lessons of this life, we strive to grow and leave behind the old and unnecessary habits and behaviors and move forward into higher consciousness. The blood that flows through our veins is of our ancestors. Huit represents the DNA, the ancestral blood that reaches back into the beginning of time. In African culture, we refer to the river of ancestors. The blood, or senef, of our ancestors flows through each of us, as our blood will flow through future generations. It is an endless stream. As we call on the light and wisdom of our high ancestors, or Yaku, our blood becomes purified. As such, we are mindful of giving respect, sha'esha, to senef, the blood. And what carries our blood? The veins, right? When we become spiritually awakened, we take our places within the awakened body of consciousness, Christ consciousness, Qerest consciousness. Qerest means the mummified remains or body wrapped in swaddling strips. Death to the old, yet spirit lives on. It has victory over death. We, in our spiritual growth, have victory over death and in life as we put emphasis on spirit and are not stuck in matters of the flesh and mundane. The bread, te, symbolizes the body, or Qerest. Please hold up the bread and repeat after me. Necheru, bless this bread of life. Semek necheru, mishet pen. I am the bread of life. Anuk mishet ankh. I am the body of awakened consciousness. Anuk Qerest. My body is sacred. Kati Jasher. My spirit is of God, or Nechir. Kani en Nechir. Thank you, Nechir. Dwa Nechir. Unem. Eat. Please hold up your cup. Repeat after me. Necheru, bless this blood of life. Simek necheru, senef pen. My blood flows from the river of ancestors. Senefi sef ni im yaku. Webi, purify me. Thank you, God. Dwan nechir. Baba, drink. And now hold up your cup. This cup is also you. It is a sacred chalice. You, like the cup, are a sacred vessel. Be mindful of what you fill your life with. Your life is sacred. Repeat after me. I am a sacred vessel. Anuk Imakhu. My life is sacred. Anki Jaser. Amen. Amen. Imanit. That concludes our service for today. If you'd like more information, then please reach out to me at my website, www.imakhu.info. And if you'd like to find out about getting your birth chart, your Kametic birth chart, I have to tell you, y'all know I've been through a lot of stuff over the past 8 years. But I'm grateful for the wisdom, because when you go through things, then your mettle is really tested in terms of understanding about what you believe, having a clear stance on how you practice and what you believe, and knowing truly that you know that you know. And the experiences that I've had in so many different things, different aspects of my life, have brought me greater insights as to the understanding on a deeper level of this SHENU Kametic living waters practice. Being a water temple is not just about, we embrace baptism, but we do because it started in Kemet. It is not just about accruing the metaphysical knowledge, but you do. But it is mainly about being able to continue to clean up your own life. As it says in the book of Prince Harjadef in the opening line, clean up your own life in your own eyes before an outside authority is forced to do it for you. You learn how to take responsibility, accountability, teni, and check yourself before you wreck yourself, really. And even I was thinking today about how my reactions to different things that used to truly set me off because my nerves were so on edge. I had so much anxiety. My reactions now are so different. I've come into a different place, and I'm grateful. And it never would have happened had I not gone through what I went through. Am I inviting those things to happen again? Oh, heck no. No. All that stuff I left in 2023. The end of the year came up to be the last few months were just glorious. And I am embracing the wisdom and what was glorious and sailing into this year. Yes, we don't know what may happen from a day-to-day basis, but to at least be in a place where I can smile and laugh every day is a major accomplishment. And give thanks and praise to the Necheru, to the Iyaku, to the Shepsu, and to the wisdom left behind by our Kametic ancestors, the wisdom of the priesthood, the wisdom of the everyday person, just the whole cultural scheme of things. For what worked for them, what didn't work, that's wisdom that we can glean, and that is solid wisdom that I live by, I stand on, and I'm grateful for. There is no shortcut to wisdom, none. And this is why also it's important to be aligned, to have a deeper understanding of who you are. And even things like, why do these various cultural things happen? You might have had a relative who was really adamant on having their 3 kings display out there, and maybe they on the low knew the real meanings that went along with the so-called 3 kings or the Magi. I found out that I have Haitian blood, so a whole lot of things became relevant to me and and very, very clear. And I'm grateful. Give thanks. Okay. So again, oh yes. So up until the 14th, the last day of our Simbi cycle, I'll be continuing my special for the Kametic charts, the birth charts. They were $657. Now they are $300. So go to imakhu.info/store. And you will see the special listed. Reach out to me, Lydia. It's good to see you. And thank you, Moby Bongo. Thank you, Brother Kevin. I'm glad you're looking forward to the new music. It's been a true pleasure to be in the booth creating. And so, life is a blessing indeed. All right. So, and oh, yeah, here's the temple website, the Institute's website. That is shenuwaters.info. And still haven't gotten to updating that yet. Probably get to that like tomorrow, maybe. But at least it'll give you an idea. There's so much to change. And so And I hope you have an understanding of why now I've been able to be open about the whole thing with the serpent, because, the serpents have been vilified. And actually, the wisdom of the serpent is our strength. Let us continue to walk in wisdom. Let us walk with joy. And if we're not feeling joy, then let us walk with insight, and let us walk with those who are able to help us to transform our lives for the better, and for us to reciprocate and do the very same. Be careful about who you give your energy to. Be careful about who you enhance. Okay? And with that, I will say thank you. Duau. Meria, which is much love. Heri, which is to be at peace. And I wish you infinite peace and accountability. Meria.